Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Alexander and I can already hear the ladies screaming of glee out there because today I'm going to review Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It's a romance, it's a classic, it's brilliant. Plot summary. The story takes place in the 1800s in the fictional town of Meryton, where Mr. and Mrs. Bennet are living with their 5 daughters. Since this is a time where everything is inherited by the son in the family, Mrs. Bennet is quite keen to marry her 5 daughters. So naturally she gets quite excited when Mr. Bingley, a charming and handsome young man, moves to town, along with his friend Mr. Darcy, an equally young and handsome but not so charming man. I'm not going to reveal anything else because what happens next is so unpredictable that you should really read it yourself. Mind you, this is not because Jane Austen wanted to write a book with a completely random plot. It's because it takes place 200 years ago, and I had no clue what was normal and what wasn't back then. So while a reader from the 1800s might have been like, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Ah, I see where this is leading." Then I found myself, while reading this, being more like, "What? He's proposing already?" So that's my first point. It's a very good story. Okay, there may have been a little point in the middle where it was a little uneventful, but then suddenly it picks up again and it's very gripping almost all the way through. I mean, this is one of the few books where I had absolutely no clue how it was going to end. So while still being realistic, it's also quite unpredictable in its own kind of way. My second point is that... What is my second point? My second point is that it's very immersive. Okay, maybe there's not a lot of action going on, but there's a lot of focus on the people and the personalities and the relationships in this book, which means that because of this, the people, the characters become alive. Once you close the book, you still feel that they are living and you want to know what happens to them. My third point is that it's beautifully written. I could almost have forgotten the plot and just read this book just for the sake of enjoying the language in it. Okay, maybe everyone wrote like this in the 1800s, but that doesn't make it less of a pleasure to read. Okay, maybe sometimes her sentences are a little bit long and her words a little bit old, but if you take your time to read it through, then it shouldn't be any problem to understand. A final thing is that Austen's mastery of language also means that in a book like this, which is quite like a drama, she still manages to insert quite a lot of comedy in the way Mr. Bennet behaves in a family of 6 women and 1 man, in a description of the cousin of the family, and even in the way Mrs. Bennet insults other people. So it's a good romance, it's very well written, and it's also funny. Now, if you don't like romances, dismiss everything I've said so far. You will not like this. It would be wrong to say that Jane Austen was targeting a female audience, because I think in the 1800s you didn't really have the concept of a target audience. But I think it's still fair to assume that girls tend to like this more than boys do. But that shouldn't stop you from reading it just because you're a boy. I mean, hell, I liked it. What you just need to keep in mind is that compared to most modern novels, this isn't going to have as much action in it, but it's going to be more focused on the bonds between people and what people think and feel. After all this, if you're still not sure whether this is going to be something for you or not, we have a solution for you. Because Jane Austen died in 1817, i.e. before 1910, i.e. more than 100 years ago, i.e. all the texts that she has ever written are now in the public domain, which means that they're also available for free on the internet. What I'm trying to say is that if you go to Wikisource, link in the doobly-doo, then you can find on that website the entire text of Pride and Prejudice for free. So what I would recommend you do is go there, read the first, say, 3 chapters, and if you don't like it, you're probably not going to like the rest of the book. And if you do like it, then read the rest of it online, go buy the book, or borrow it from the library, or steal it from a friend. I don't care, just read it. So, in case you haven't got the message yet, this is a very good book. There's a reason it's become a classic. It's brilliant. Hope you like the review. Next one coming up, God knows when.